So, welcome everyone. Let's begin. And before we come to the prayer for today, let's take a moment of silence to ingather ourselves and to invoke Mother's presence. So, today we have May 9, 1914 with us to reflect upon. And let's go through a prayer, through the prayer first, and then we can take a few reflections. It's a long prayer, so we'll just go through it, slowly read through it, and then we can take up reflections. So, yes, anyone who feels ready can please unmute and go ahead.
I'll read. May 9th, 1914. Just at the moment when I was feeling the imperious need of resuming these notes regularly so as to come out of this overwhelming mental inertia, my physical organism suffered a defeat such as it had not known for several years. And during a few days, all the forces of my body failed me. I saw in this a sign that I had made a mistake, that my spiritual energy had weakened. My vision of the omnipotent oneness had been clouded, that some wrong suggestion had managed to disturb me in some way. And I bow down before thee, O Lord, my sweet Master, with humility, conscious that I was not yet ready for a perfect identification with thee. Something in this aggregate which constitutes the instrument I can put at thy service is still obscure and obtuse. Something does not respond as it should to thy forces, deforms and darkens their manifestation. A great problem came up before me, and illness covered it with its veil and prevented me from solving it. Now that I am living once more in the feeling of thy oneness, the problem no longer seems to have any sense, and I do not understand it very well anymore. It seems to me, it seems to me I have left something far behind me. It seems to me that I am slowly awakening to a new life. I would it were not an illusion, and this deep and smiling peace had returned forever. O my divine Master, my love aspires to thee more intensely than ever. Let me be thy living love in the world and nothing but that. May all egoism, all limitation, all darkness disappear. May my consciousness be identified with thine so that thou alone mayst be the will acting through this fragile and transient instrument. O my sweet Master, how ardently my love aspires to thee. Grant that I may be nothing but thy divine love, and that in every being this love may awake, powerful and victorious. Let me be a vast mantle of love enveloping all the earth, entering all hearts, murmuring in every ear thy divine message of hope and peace. O my divine Master, how ardently I aspire for thee. Break these chains of darkness and error. Dispel this ignorance. Liberate me. Make me see thy light. Break these chains. I want to understand and I want to be. This is to say, this I must be thy I, and there must be only one single I in the world. O Lord, grant my prayer. My supplication rises ardently to thee.
Yeah, so if anyone has any thoughts at this moment, they're welcome. I'm reminded of mm, just a second. So there was a kind of a talk by Thomas Merton, Christian mystic, on prayer, and let me see if we can maybe hear it a little today, since we are talking about prayers and meditations. So let me see if I find it. Yeah, in the meantime, if anyone has anything, yeah, got it. Okay, so maybe we hear a bit of this before we take up the prayer for reflection. So he's talking about maybe some of us may know a little bit. I also don't know much. I have mostly read his readings rather than knowing about his life more. But little I know is that he was a Christian mystic and he broke many religious dogmas. And in those times, while he was still alive, of course, some people were like in awe of his thoughts and words, but most majority did not like him very much, even the monks in his own abbey, because he broke many religious Christian dogmas and brought something new to light, which even now one is wondering and contemplating about. And that's what happens with most people who are beyond their age, right? When they are alive, then they don't get much uh, the thing that they should get, that spread and acknowledgement. But when they are gone, then we slowly discover that, oh my god, what they were saying is really true. So that's what happened with him also. And yeah, maybe it would be nice. He has written many books, and something is available on internet free, but not everything. But yeah, let's hear this. This is, yeah, Thomas Merton in his own voice, and I think this is about prayer, if I am not wrong. He's talking about prayer.
Stay with us, Lord, for day is almost over.
Basically, I suppose prayer should be as simple as breathing, as simple as living, as simple as just anything. But when we make a great issue out of prayer, that's one reason why I don't like to talk about prayer much, is as soon as you make an issue out of it, it tends to become confusing, it tends to get distorted. It becomes a cause, the great cause of prayer, and then it becomes opposed to something else, which is not prayer. And then you get into this break. Prayer is something sacred, and then you have other things which are secular, and you have to keep them apart, and that's a confusion. Because breathing is neither sacred nor secular. You just breathe. So prayer, too, should be neither sacred nor secular. I don't regard prayer as a specifically sacred activity. It's life. It is our life. comes from the very ground of our life. I think it becomes a sacred activity when it gets to be quite public and formal and so forth, but, well, anyway, we should not divide prayer against the rest of our life. And we should not make prayer a cause for which we're willing to fight and have crusades, so to speak. You know, T.S. Eliot in Murder in the Cathedral, the temptation of Thomas à Becket was to fear that his cause of serving the church became a temptation, and the vocation to martyrdom could include in it a temptation, for he said those who serve the greater causes can make the cause serve them. So the danger is that our religious life, our prayer, our apostolate, things like that, become causes which we make to serve ourselves. They're great causes, and then we use them perhaps out of a spirit of self-glorification.
So just this bit about prayer I felt was very, very important. And of course, the talk is long and it's beautiful. Those of us who are interested, I can share later and we can hear. But I'll just replay the beginning again, just the bit on prayer, and then we can move to our own prayer. Mother's prayer. Yeah.
Basically, I suppose, prayer should be as simple as breathing, as simple as living, as simple as just anything. But when we make a great issue out of prayer, that's one reason why I don't like to talk about prayer much, is as soon as you make an issue out of it, it tends to become confusing, it tends to get distorted. It becomes a cause, the great cause of prayer. And then it becomes opposed to something else, which is not prayer. And then you get into this break. Prayer is something sacred, and then you have other things which are secular, and you have to keep them apart. And that's a confusion. Because breathing is neither sacred nor secular. You just breathe. So prayer, too, should be neither sacred nor secular. I don't regard prayer as a specifically sacred activity. It's life. It is our life. Comes from the very ground of our life.
So, yeah. Yeah, so anyone wants to share anything on this prayer, if you have gone through it, or if anything is coming right now? No. Okay. So we'll take it a little bit by bit, and then anyone who wants to share in between, please feel free. So one thing, which Alokda was sharing, that it's so beautiful that mother's inner life is in front of us, so that we know, she is able to. That's why she has taken, the human form, the human burden that we say, and that is what we call the sacrifice of the divine. That it is not required for the divine to uh, be caged in a human form, but he does so for so many of his children. And this we also hear in Savitri about this, that the divine owes this to his children, that he takes this human form so that he suffers that burden, that caginess, that suffocation in the mortality, the ego consciousness, and so that we know that, okay, how to go forward when we are trapped like that. What can be the way forward? What is the highest possible way which we can take? And that is what we see with mother's prayers and meditations, that she has taken upon herself the burden of human existence so that she can share with us the highest possible path. Now, even now, we don't want to use it. That's of course our free will, but we have the path in front of us. That what should be the highest possible attitude through all illnesses, through all difficulties, through all obscurations and ignorance. And that is what we see in prayers and meditations. So like mother has opened her inner life in front of us so that it can be, yeah, seen, and we can make use of such pointers. Yeah, anything here? And Nandini, you want to add on something?
No, I just, sorry, by mistake, I am.
Okay. So we'll go ahead. May 9, 1914. Just at the moment when I was feeling the imperious need of resuming these notes regularly, so as to come out of this overwhelming mental inertia. Now, I'm sure all of us can resonate with mental inertia. So, of course, Divine Mother doesn't have to experience mental inertia, but she's experiencing it for all of us so that we can know that, okay, how to go about it, because it is a fact in our life. We go through all kinds of inertia, and mental inertia where we don't find that motivation, in our towards our highest possibility. That motivation has gone off. It's like a dullness, like an inertia has overpowered us. So just at the moment when she is feeling the need to resume these diary entries, so as to come out of this overwhelming mental inertia, my physical organism suffered a defeat such as it had not known for several years. And during a few days, all the forces of my body failed me. I saw in this a sign. Now, we may go through several physical challenges, mental challenges, but what is the good attitude? What is the right poise from which to take it on? So, mother is looking at it and she is recognizing very objectively that, see, I made a mistake. Let me correct it. Now, what was the exact mistake? Of course, that only mother would know because we don't know the exact context. But she shares with us the attitude to take, the right attitude to take. I saw in this defeat, so whatever defeat, physical defeat and mental inertia one is going through, I saw in this a sign that I had made a mistake. So, taking the onus on me, she's not sharing that, look, somewhere out there someone did that and that is how I was affected. So that's the one of the biggest lessons, that never to focus ourselves on what others commit, fault, mistakes, errors and triggers. Always to see that, okay, what happened in me as a result of the outer happening. Why did I allow myself to sway so easily? So that's the focus. So I saw in this a sign that I had made a mistake, that my spiritual energy had weakened. My vision of the omnipotent oneness had been clouded. And we often have these clouds, more often than not. More often we have these clouds and haziness, in front of, there is no clarity at times, like there is a dullness, there is no clarity, even for that inner stability that just is taken away for some time. So she shares that that stability, that solidity that I used to have, for some time it was like as if it got clouded. That some wrong suggestion had managed to disturb me in some way, and I bowed down before thee, O Lord, my sweet master, with humility, conscious that I was not yet ready for a perfect identification with thee. So, mother's prayers and meditations, we see that all through, mother is like striving for a union, complete union with the divine, complete identification with the divine. And it's not that mother is sharing that, look, I am the divine mother and I can do that and it's only me. She's sharing what should be the purpose of our human lives, because these lives that we have, they belong to the divine. And in that video that we were listening to, Thomas Merton's, there also later on he shares that our lives don't belong to us. Our lives belong to the divine. So something had managed. So, and we often see, even Alokda mentions many a times that what causes a crack. We were reading in Integral Healing that what causes a crack so that we get an illness and we are, open to something. So some weakness, some wrong thought that I believe in, some, disturbing emotions which I again justify, and that creates a break in that nervous envelope. So some wrong suggestion had managed to disturb me in some way. All of us have glimpses of such happenings, that we get just kind of, we enter into a slippery slope of thoughts, and unconsciously, like, we are hardly aware what we are doing, and that rocks our stability and the solid faith that we may have been cultivating. And again, she shares the highest possible attitude. What is the attitude with which we can take if such a swaying has happened? Conscious that I was not yet ready for a perfect identification with these. So we talk about patrata. We talk about the receptacle being ready, and that is where our work lies. We have to, as Sri Aurobindo says, that if you wish to install a living presence in yourself, the temple has to be kept clean. The temple has to be sanctified and purified. Otherwise, I can't invite the divine and invoke the divine in a, sad-looking, ugly temple full of filth and garbage. So something in this aggregate, which we call as ourselves, the bundle of thoughts, feelings, emotions, and the body, something in this aggregate which constitutes the instrument I can put at thy service, is still obscure. So many layers of ignorance are there, so many veils are there, so many ill wills hiding. We are not even aware. Hiding, so many contradictory wills hiding. We may think that we want this, but actually we are not wanting this. We are wanting something else. Some desire, some need we are trying to gratify. So something, she senses that something was still obscure, not yet fully shown to the light. I can put at thy service is still obscure. So this aggregate, some part of this aggregate was still obscure and obtuse. Something does not respond as it should to thy forces. So all of us experience such things, that we know what should be the right attitude, but something in us is not ready to have the right attitude. It's not yet ready to take the right attitude. Something we still want in the depth of our heart, the desire self. And we may say that we want only the mother, but actually there are many other things that are coming on the way. So something does not respond as it should to thy forces. So many parts of us are not yet ready, and we have come across this through many other anecdotes and sharings, Mother and Sri Aurobindo, where they talk about this, that since the being is composed of several different parts and not every part is ready at that particular moment, so we'll have to make that pendulum like movement, going forward, then coming back, then going forward, then coming back, because all parts slowly then get ready. It's a long, tedious process. It's not like one go and all done. So something does not respond as it should to thy forces, deforms and darkens their manifestation. And one thing we know, that with ego consciousness, everything gets deformed. Even if we may have a beautiful insight or a beautiful idea, the moment it trickles down the ego consciousness, like a curtain, like a filter is there on the way, and when it comes out, it has been deformed. The original vigor, the original sense is gone, and only a little bit of it percolates down and we receive something. But otherwise, the moment it enters the ego consciousness, it gets distorted. Any intuitive in original insight, it gets distorted, and that is why vigilance has to be there, so that we recognize that distortion. And that's what Mother is sharing, that something in me was there that did not respond as it should. It was not completely purified, and it darkened that manifestation. So beautiful pointer for us to take these challenges in a right attitude, that to, like a scientist observes, if I'm doing some experiments, very objectively I would say, oh, this was right in this experiment and this was wrong. Now I don't take it upon myself. I'm looking at it very objectively. In synthesis of yoga also, what we were reading in the Savitri's session, there also we were reading that one has to look at one's own self as if one is looking at another. So that sense of correction, self mastery can come in. Because if I take it upon me that, oh, I am so bad and I am unfit, then we can't really put all the energy in the correction and the, making it right. Yeah. So anything here in the first paragraph, anyone?
I was just thinking that that again and again, this idea of developing this objective awareness towards ourselves and towards being so aware of being conscious of our actions, about our thinking, about our emotions, and to an extent that mother herself expresses that, that's something that she did continuously. And like for me, I used to always feel that, okay, you just do it once and then maybe that's done. Like whenever I used to read Savitri Integral Yoga or different, used to read the stories of different saints, I used to say, oh, they just did it once and it just happened. But now it has changed into fact that this continuous assessment has to be at every second, not even a day, not even an hour, but every second of your existence, where you become so conscious of your thinking and of your way of being, that that mother says about the perfect identification with the divine. And one thing that's really helped me to understand that, am I in my ego consciousness, or am I really in that, not identification but even a contact with the divine, would be how I feel. How do I feel at this moment? Do I feel light? Do I feel frustrated? um, or do I feel happy? Do I feel grateful? So my emotions or my way of being actually navigates me to this understanding of really being objective to myself. And that's really very good, because when I know that I'm not feeling good, when I feel like crying, or when I feel frustrated, or I'm blaming or I'm complaining, I know automatically that that touch has been lost. And I think that's really important, to do it every second of your life, not even a day, or not even during your meditation or something else, but every second of your existence. Yeah.
Yeah, that resonates. Yes. Yeah. Anyone else wants to add on?
Yeah, Monica ji, one thing I wanted to add.
Yes.
Something very beautiful came to my mind as I was listening. Mother said that gratitude opens the gates to the grace to enter. The moment we are grateful, we open our doors of the heart for the grace to enter. That came to my mind.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, anyone else? Okay, so I'm assuming there is nothing at the moment. I'm taking it forward. A great problem came up before me, and illness covered it with its veil and prevented me from solving it. Now that I am living once more, so the thing has happened, and the mother has now come back from that haze and cloudedness, that she experienced. It happened, and then she has resolved it. And Alokda, in his commentary, was also sharing that on May 4th, which is the previous prayer, before May 9, we have May 4. There is no trace of this problem that we see. So that means that within the span of these 4 or 5 days, she has gotten over that, whatever illness or the problem that was there. So immediately the fault recognized, the correction put in practice, and that's how we move forward. So a great problem came up before me, and illness covered it with its veil and prevented me from solving it. Now that I am living once more, I think what Nandini was just sharing, that through we just know, whether we are at the right center or not. So now that I am living once more in the feeling of that thy oneness, the problem no longer seems to have any sense. We have often seen that many a times, if we look back at our lives, either recent past or past before the past, we would see that when the problem is happening, then it's like the only thing that is there on my head, like so big, concrete and real, and oh my god, oh my god. But when we have corrected something within, and it is now something of the past, even if it's like one day before or a few hours before, and if we have taken the true attitude, the right attitude, then this is a very, I think this is a very nice hint, because I've felt this many a times, like as if you feel that you have left it like years ago. You are a changed person now. So as if you are giving, through the right attitude, we are giving ourselves a new birth every moment. And it appears like, oh my god, so childish, like you can't even connect to that problem. So mother says, and this also appears in one more prayer of the mother, can't remember which one, but where she shares that it appears, now, earlier I was blaming myself for it, or maybe for a moment I was sad, but then it appears like I have moved forward, and it appears something childish and even ridiculous and blameworthy, something like that mother talks about. So yeah, this is very beautiful, because if we have taken a true attitude, we have learned from that error, and whatever problem or error was there, then we become a new self. Every moment we are recreating ourselves and giving ourselves new birth. If we are, at times we remain the old person, all those moments, but if we are truly giving ourselves a new birth through our right attitude, then we have felt it. I'm sure all of us have, that it appears like you've left it far away. And this also reminds me, since we were listening to Thomas Merton, his autobiography, The Seven Story Mountain, something, he shares later that I don't know who wrote that. Like I can't connect with that person who wrote that autobiography. And he shares that if I were today to write it, I would of course write it so differently. So that tells that the movement of progression, in growth of consciousness, that is exponential in one very lifetime. That the person does not recognize who was that who wrote that book, while he is writing his own autobiography. So yeah, I could connect with that. Yes. So the mother says that the problem no longer seems to have any sense, and I do not understand it well and very well anymore. So you have, look, kind of moved forward in your consciousness, and like there is a now disconnect with why was it appearing so big then, in that moment. That person you don't know anymore who was making it so big. You're a changed person now. So yeah, I think there also lies a very crucial hint for us, that when we do take the right attitude, then it, like all the mistakes and errors and previous things appear like things of the past. Yeah. Yeah. Anything here? Anyone? All right, so moving forward. It seems to me I have left something far behind me. It seems to me that I am slowly awakening to a new life. I, I would it were not an illusion and this deep. So she's like, with in mother's prayers, we see all the time a very deep humility that I'm hoping that it's not an illusion. That's what I understand. I hope I'm understanding it correct. That she is wishing that it's not an illusion that I have left it far behind and I'm awakening to a new life. So I would it were not an illusion, and this deep and smiling peace had returned forever. So there is a hope that this peace and what Jishnuji was sharing about this general attitude of gratitude, that one has when one is in the true consciousness. That deep and smiling peace has returned forever, had returned forever. Yeah, so I don't know, I'm just extrapolating and I may be incorrect here. So I'm just extrapolating what mother is sharing here. Yeah. O my divine master, my love aspires to thee more intensely than ever. Let me be thy living love in the world and nothing but that. Most of the times we as human beings we find ourselves begging for love. We all have noticed that. We are just wanting love and appreciation and some hugs and some validation from people around us. And here she has that aspiration, again sharing with us the true attitude. What she shares, that if only a few of us can become pure gold, with the right attitude. So can I become living love in this world and nothing but that? Because love is what in essence and crux all of us seek through this or that. And when we are all begging from each other, then what can we give each other when all of us are just begging, begging, begging all the time? So she doesn't want to be that beggar, which is the attitude which we as human beings also can take. That's what she's showing, the path, that my love aspires to thee more intensely. Now, more intensely. Now, some mistake has happened. I've taken a correct attitude, the highest possible attitude that I can take. And it's not that I am in dumps like, oh my God, how could I do that? How unfit I am, No, that kind of talk is there. No guilt is there for the mistake, for the recognition, of the weakness. Rather, a increased vigor is there, that, oh, let me make myself, more stronger and solid and stabilize myself in this true consciousness. So more vigor is there, that's again the right attitude that mother shares with us. What is the right attitude when we see ourselves fall? We do see ourselves fall, and from time to time we will see ourselves fall, because the lower consciousness is not gone anywhere, it is right here, wanting more and more purification. So there will be times when we will stumble, when we will fall, when we will, things will happen which we may not really want to do. But what is the right attitude to move forward? Because as mother says, always forward and forward, never to pull ourselves down with guilt and shame and, oh my God, how could I do that? This self obsession that we get into. So let me be thy living love in the world and nothing but that. And when one is love, then one is also self sufficient, in the sense that I've stopped to be a beggar, because that love which I extend to all around me, that also keeps on fulfilling me. So my matka is also bhara hua, and that's how I can spill it off like a natural byproduct of it, byproduct. So may all egoism, now she shares that why this happens, why the fall happens. where earlier she was sharing that there was a wrong suggestion in which I believed. So may all egoism, all limitation, all darkness disappear. And as Mother also herself talks about, that there is a difference between ego and egoism. Ego is a necessary entity on the path. Like we have a physical ego. This is why I call this myself. It keeps me together. My thoughts, my opinions, feelings. That's how I know myself. So that's the physical, like a collection of an individual that I am. So on the path, of course, that's a necessity. Later on, of course, the surrender happens, but it is a necessity on the path. But egoism is self obsession. Egoism is like, I am the center of my world. Whatever others may be wanting something, but what do I want? Let me first satisfy my need. What do I want? Oh, that person did not agree to what I was saying. So this obsession with keeping ourselves at the center of everything is egoism. And of course, furthermore, many things. So, and this is the cause of our falls. May all egoism, all limitation, all darkness disappear. So as I connect with my own pain that I went through by falling into egoism, and being suffocated, being limited, and being a prey to the darkness, when I connect with that pain, I also connect with billions of us in the same pain. Oh my God, this is how people suffer when we are, in darkness, cloudiness, haziness, and ignorance. Now I know their pain. So, in every prayer, and many, many prayers, not every, but many prayers of the Mother, most and many prayers of the Mother, we see almost like a, she doesn't use the word Tonglen, but she does that, through her pain, she connects with the pain of humanity, all the beings. And then she prays not only for her, but she extends through her pain, she is extending that prayer and wish for everyone. So may all egoism, all limitation, all darkness disappear. May my consciousness be identified with thine, so that thou alone mayst be the will acting through this fragile, transient instrument. So very well knowing that what is so special about this instrument, very fragile, fleeting. And in another prayer, Mother says, if your work will not happen through me, I'm sure it will happen through somebody else. How does it matter through which instrument it happens? So again, we see a lot of groundedness, that not saying that, oh, I am the instrument, and the divine is perfecting me, working on me, and if not for me, nothing can happen. So even the Divine Mother herself, we see that throughout the prayers, like a lot of groundedness, divine humility, and knowing that all of us are like, the instruments are so fleeting. What's the big deal? So the darkness may disappear, and may my consciousness be fully identified with the true consciousness, the divine consciousness, and no faults may be repeated, and thou alone mayst be the will. And so that I don't have any individual will, that, oh, this is what I wanted, but this did not happen. So no individual wills are in operation, willings are in operation. The only thing that we genuinely intend it is to have the divine will forward, where we put all our preferences, desires, likings aside. They all have to be put aside. Like, we don't give them any importance. They may be still, ripples may be still there, but no part of me wants to fulfill them. Oh, my sweet master, how ardently. Now we see that intensity which Mother brings up after this fall, or this defeat, which not really a defeat, but a fall that she experienced. Oh, my sweet master, how ardently my love aspires to thee. So with every fall, can we be even more intense rather than being gloomy about it? that has even intensified that aspiration that, oh, I am not stabilized, let me even go further and stabilize myself fully in the true consciousness. And that really brings a lot of joy back. Progress brings joy. Grant that I may be nothing but thy divine love, and that in every being this love may awake, powerful and victorious. And as is shared with mother's words, and Alukda also mentions again and again, love is the only power which can transform without destroying. How it does that is a mystery. It does that without destruction. Love is that power. So for every being, may this love awake in their hearts, powerful and victorious. Let me be a vast. So again, I think we see again and again this humility like seeped in her words, that it's not that the divine love is awakening only in me and I am the special one, who would be all love and loving presence. Let this divine love just, because it is 24/7 in each one of us. So she's again, like, may it get awakened in each one of us. Not that just I am the one who is very special and rest all are very ordinary, and let me be a vast mantle of love enveloping all the earth, entering all hearts, murmuring in every ear thy divine message of hope and peace. And this vast mantle of love, we also see with that picture, which and the vision that mother has when she was young, and also again and again it repeated when she's like growing larger and larger, and then she's covered with this supramental robe, a golden robe, and it's just enveloping all the beings. So many beings are wanting protection in that robe. O my divine master, how ardently I aspire for thee. Now again, I think whenever I read such a line, I remind myself that where where am I? Am I really ardently aspiring for this? And so that's a good check, for me. Again and again, whenever we read this with mother's prayers, that, O my divine master, how ardently I aspire for thee. Break these chains of darkness and error. Dispel this ignorance. Liberate me. Make me see thy light. So knowing the error has been made, knowing that in ignorance we stay still from time to time, we get glimpses of light, but again a fall into ignorance. So what is the rightmost attitude to take? That no part of me is justifying those chains. No part in me is saying that nahi thodi der aur, like, oh, a little bit more, like enjoying the delight of those chains. So break these chains of darkness and error. Dispel this ignorance. Liberate me. Make me see thy light. Break these chains. I want to understand and I want to be. When in Buddhist teaching, what we come across through Jetsunma Tenzin Palmo, we again and again we talk about how the limited conceptual mind sees, like it again differentiates. This is pure and sacred, and this is not pure and not sacred. This is a superior person, this is an inferior person. This is a good thing, this is a bad thing. And what Thomas Merton was share in his talk about prayer, that if I make prayer in the sense that, oh, this is prayer and this is very holy, then definitely I'm making something which is not holy. So we are creating like a category, we are creating, and that means that I'm still in the limited conceptual mind. I'm still a slave of the ego consciousness, still dualistic, good and bad, evil and not evil. So break those chains, like opening up to that source of the mind, the nature of the mind, as we say in Buddhism, the true consciousness, which we truly are. Because when we are not in that true consciousness, then the division happens. Then I see only in good, as good and bad and superior and inferior and acha hua or nahi acha hua. But when we are not in that consciousness, the limited consciousness, then we see everything as a means to progress. Everything can really be a good raw material for progress. So break these chains. I want to understand and I want to be. That is to say, this I must be thy I. So you are the one, only you are the one, and there is no other ego consciousness wanting to put its finger in. So that is to say, this I must be thy I, and there must be only one single I in the world. Not like billions of different eyes wanting to get this done and that done. So again, through her, she's also invoking the prayer for all of the world. O Lord, grant my prayer. My supplication rises ardently to thee. So it's so fascinating that through whatever error we make on the way, and we happen to make, if we take the right attitude, then we make that error not only into connecting ourselves with billions of us who indulge in the same error, but also connecting like a feeling of oneness, with all the fellows, that may all of us awaken, so sabko, ikhatta, like collective supplication. So may, and in Buddhism also, I see many resonances, because when they are doing these prostrations or practices where they are bowing down again and again, and doing prostration. So the idea and the intent, true intent, is that when you are doing prostration, you also feel that all the beings, not only human beings, all the fishes and the birds and all the centipedes and all the insects, everybody is bowing down as you bow down. Your friends, your enemies. So you are not only doing the prostrations to the divine on your behalf, but you are taking the whole world together. And that is what we see again and again with mother's prayers, that she, along with her, she just, like, hamara bhi udhar, and we don't know, Jishnu ji was talking about gratitude, we don't know that today we are alive and breathing and with a healthy intellect and everything. We don't know how many prayers are making us function. We have no clue. Who is wishing what, for whom? And we think that it's my vegan diet or my special diet that is making me function. So if we remember that so many people, mystics, yogis are making us function. So if we take the right attitude, we are actually just honoring their sacrifice and honoring their invocation for us, not letting it go waste. Yeah. Okay, so any last ideas and thoughts and comments are welcome. Anyone?
Yeah, one thing came to my mind, Monica ji, that mother said that we don't understand what grace is. Under normal circumstances, when mother said that when nothing is happening, we feel bored. And she said only when something adverse happens and we come out of it, we feel that there is grace. But the very fact that every day we live on and nothing adverse happens to us itself is like a big grace, which we don't realize.
Yeah, beautiful. Yes, always good to remind that again and again, really. And that reminds me of that aeroplane accident. I think she was talking of somebody asked about some plane accident, if I'm not wrong. That why is it that in a plane accident, some people are saved by grace and some are not saved? So why is it that grace is specially saving some and not saving the others? And then I remember this uh, comment by the mother, that why, every day so many planes are going on without falling. Is that not grace? So yeah, that really, every time I look at a plane, I just remind myself of that. Yeah, please go ahead, Jishnuji.
No, absolutely. I mean, in normal circumstances, the world goes on, I mean, without any intervention. And that itself is a very big grace, though we don't realize like that.
I was really touched by the phase in the prayer about living love, which was so beautiful to live love. And immediately I was reading this non-Advaita philosopher Rupert Spira. There's one particular quote of his that I really like, and it's something like that: give your attention to the experience of seeing rather than to the object seen, and you will find yourself everywhere. So this whole idea, because most of the time for us destination is so important that we forget the journey. Or like, even with love, we always associate love with an object or something to be achieved, as you said, always about possessing and grabbing. And or the object that we are seeing becomes so important that the experience of seeing we miss out. And about that mother as well, about living love, which is so, because love is not something to be achieved. It is the feeling, the experience in your body, in your emotion, a kind of an experience of the oneness with the universe that you have. And it's resonated with so much that if only we can understand and experience love rather than to get love, you know or possess love, our whole life will change.
Yeah, beautiful. Yes. Okay, so if not anything, then we can just take a moment of silence then here, and just sharing all the merit, clarity, understanding, delight, sharing it with all the sentient beings. May all our hearts be peaceful, minds simple, uncomplicated, and may we have lots of joy and progress and harmony in life. Okay, thank you. Thank you, everyone. Bye bye.